I had a conversation one day with Joe Mauer, and it was when they were building Target Field. And it was just a general, like, coach to player open conversation, and he started talking about it. And the thing that really impressed me was the pride he was talking about. Now, obviously, he's from St. Paul and, played his whole career here, but it really kind of opened my eyes up then. And then actually after being here and realizing how much it reaches out, it's really kind of cool. And I think it makes it special and unique.
Fans are worried about if you're going to have enough payroll to do your thing. How is your mindset around that? Have you been given any guarantees or assurances?
No, my mindset is fine. I think the one thing that I really enjoyed, and because of the fact I was familiar with the group, I thought we had some open and honest conversations right from the get-go. It was not like, hey, we need to get to know Derek Shelton. Like, they knew me, so we could go. And one of the conversations that meant the most to me was I sat down with Joe Pohlad, and the first thing I said to him was like, what's on the table that we can talk about? And his answer was everything. And we had a very open conversation. And when I walked away from that conversation, I walked out of the room and said, I want to be the manager of the Minnesota Twins. So the answers I got were very forthcoming. They were very honest, and I appreciated that.
I was wondering, like, what is it like to interview for a job like this?
It's interesting. They're long, they're tedious, they're multiple hours, like being 8 hours. And I think the fact of the one here is everybody thinks, oh, they were familiar with me because I was here.
Right.
I thought that was going to be a detriment to me, honestly, because of the fact there was no pleasantries. There was not like, hey, Shelty, how are you today? What's going on? We got right into the guts of like, what do you think you did wrong? What do you need to be better at? And it was a very open dialogue. Initially, I thought, they're going to know me, so they're not going to want me here. But it was probably more intense than any interview. It was more detailed than any interview I went through of. And then the longer we got into it, the more I was like, all right, we're working in the right direction.
Yeah, it's interesting because you could understand from your perspective where you would say like, they're trying to send a message to fans like we're doing things differently. Right. So bring them back, somebody who was here for 2 years.
Yeah, and it was the exact opposite. It was more detailed. It was more poignant.
Interesting.
And because they knew me, they could probably ask things they couldn't ask other candidates to really get to the dive of it. So it was an interesting process. It was a very detailed process. And like I said, I've been through a lot of them. I interviewed for other jobs. I ultimately got the job in Pittsburgh.
Well, you interviewed for this job before,
I interviewed for this job, and it was way different than the interview that time.
Really?
Yes, it was way more detailed because of the fact that now there's work that I've done and there's mistakes that I've made. And I think you have to be able to, understand the mistakes you've made and how you learn from them and how you're going to be better at your next job. Because if you're not better the next time around, whatever you're doing, then you didn't learn from the prior experience.
What's the biggest learning?
The ability, I think, and I said it yesterday, one of the things I learned was, number one, I got impatient at the end, and I think you have to have patience. And then number two, the ability to communicate with today's players is you have to have a conversation and you have to have a follow-up conversation because you need to make sure what you said is what they heard and they didn't interpret it in a different way. And I don't think I fully reflected on that until I got to spend 4 months at home thinking about what I did wrong and where there could have been a breakdown in communication.
Is that an age difference, you think, with the younger player?
I don't think it's an age difference. I think players are getting to the big leagues really quickly. And I think at times they process things differently. I mean, they're, whether they're on their phone or they're doing apps or whatever, the one-on-one communication, you have to make sure that they understand what's going on.
We're cheering for you, man. We're so excited.
Thank you. I'm excited. Thank you for having me on.
Really appreciate you spending so much time with it. Are you a bourbon guy or
Yeah, I'm a large collector of bourbon. I have.
What's your go-to? What's your
Old Fitzgerald is my favorite.
Oh.
Is my favorite. I have a lot of bottles. I don't drink it very much anymore. When you start managing, they're like, you don't have time to do that.
Right.
My wife says my collection is way too big, but I do like to collect it. So it's become a unique hobby.